Welcome to what probably is the most unique Getting to Know Your Indiana Neighbor episode that I've done. This young lady you'll meet in just a moment, but she messaged me, I don't know, maybe a little more than a month ago, and said, you know, I would like to talk about my mother, who passed away about a year ago. She would like to let the world know how wonderful she is. And is there any way that we could sit down and record this? And my first thought was, really, by the way, Sadie Cortes, Mercedes. My first thought was, well, Sadie, are you going to be comfortable with this? You know, but I thought it was a great thing because she and her family will have this forever. And this is kind of sometimes what you think about Indiana neighbors. The great neighbors aren't with us anymore. So let's talk about them on occasion. And I'm very glad, Sadie, that you asked me to do this. And I hope that it comes out like you want it to. But the tissues are here. We have support from the Martin County Cancer Patient Services. Linda Knight and Robin Hart are here just in case for emotional support because her mother did pass away from cancer. So Sadie, let's just initially get to know you a little bit. How old are you? Where are you in school? Your situation right now?
I'm a sophomore, so I'm in 10th grade and I'm 16. At an academic standpoint, I think I do pretty well.
Yeah.
But other people would disagree.
Well, it's been the same with me, I guess. So what prompted you to want to do something like this? It's been a year, a little more than a year. But what prompted you to say, hey, can we, I'd like to tell my mother's story?
Well, that's just it. I felt like there were a lot of people that knew her around Lagodi. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to explain it. She really just was a wonderful person.
Well, let's get the name out there. Your mom's name was what?
Regina Ilene Cortes.
Regina Ilene Cortes.
Originally, she was a Taylor.
So would a lot of people know her as Ilene Taylor?
Yes.
Did she go by Ilene for the most part?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, growing up, I think she
Yeah.
did. I think she did, yeah. And she was quite young when she passed. How old was she?
I'm pretty sure she was 45.
Yeah, that's young. Mm-hmm. So that would have put you about 15 years old.
She passed the day after my 15th birthday.
The day after your 15th birthday was March of 2023. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a grieving process, obviously. How did you handle it at first? I know that sounds like a silly question, but everybody grieves in a different way. She had suffered for quite some time, can I assume, or?
Yeah. She was diagnosed in late 2018, I would like to say.
2018?
Yeah. And it progressed into stage 4 around mid 2019.
Do you remember, so you would have been in 8th grade, is that correct?
7th or
7th grade. Do you remember how you got the news about the cancer?
My mom had I think it was 29-pound mass removed from her abdomen.
Okay.
And I had gone down with my aunt to stay at the hospital while she was in surgery. Mm-hmm. And I think after 8 or 9 hours while she was in surgery, the doctor came out and pulled us into a room and told us then that he doesn't know what kind of cancer at the time, but he knows for a fact that she definitely has cancer.
And at that age, Sadie, were you able to take all of that in? Did you understand what they were telling you at the time?
Mostly.
Mostly.
I think I was just in disbelief.
And do you have any siblings?
Not blood siblings, but I have 2 little sisters right now.
And who are you in the care of right now?
My uncle, Charles Kirkley, and his fiancée, Judy Kahn.
Okay. So your mother suffered for a while, no question about it. So she passed. and you're here to tell us her story. What is it that you want? And I know there's two things. There's a message from you to the grieving, to those who have people who are living with cancer right now, but mostly to talk about your mother. What did you want to talk about your mother? What did you want to tell us? What did you want us to know?
Just how on days where she could barely get out of bed, she would still have a smile on her face, and she would still live to help other people.
In what way?
Just anyway. She would, like my aunt usually says, she would give her, like, someone the shirt off her back.
And what did your mother do for a living?
She was a nurse.
So she was in healthcare herself?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that lends her to try to help people up until her dying day, basically,
Yes.
right? Okay. Well, aside from that, when she was living, the relationship that you had with your mother, how would you describe it?
We were best friends.
Best friends?
There's, I don't think I've been close as, like, to anyone ever since she's passed.
So this hit you really hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel like you've coped with it?
It's getting better. In the beginning, I was kind of in denial. I treated it as if she was away on a vacation. But eventually it just didn't sit right, and I had to face it.
One thing you said that you wanted to do, the message you wanted to give was to people, or at least you said that you want people who watch, not just people who obviously are healthy and living life, but those who are living with people who have cancer, maybe those who have cancer, and the grieving process. What can you tell us about the grieving process, at least from your perspective, that might help others in this situation who may be in this situation at some point?
No matter how hard it can get, don't give up. And don't give up on that person. Because you could be all that they're living for.
So, again, your mother, I know she worked in healthcare, wonderful person, but what else do you want the world to know about her? And again, this is Regina Ilene Taylor Cortes,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Remember whenever I asked you in our message, can you give me a little synopsis of what your mother was like? You said it would take a full day to do.
Yes, I have part of it written up on my school Chromebook.
So what are parts that you have written up that you'd like to share, that you can share?
Mostly she loved singing.
Okay.
And she loved music and anything that came with it.
Did she sing was she a shower singer? Was she in the choir?
She was in the choir.
She was in the choir at a church?
No, both at, I think, Lagodi and Bar Eve.
Oh, in the school?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a part of the Madrigals.
But did you ever hear her sing?
Not personally, no.
You just heard things.
Yeah.
What did you hear about her growing up? What type of person was she? I'm sure at the funeral and visitation, people said, I knew your mother this way. How did people describe your mother?
Just a fun and loving, kid.
And you said she went to Bar Eve and Lagodi schools, is that right?
She went to Lagodi up until her 7th grade year, and then started going to Bar Eve after that, and graduated from Bar Eve.
Okay. Do you know what she did right after high school graduation as far as education was concerned?
I'm not completely sure. I would say that she went to follow on to study being a nurse, but there's a blur in between there.
So where was she a healthcare professional at? Where did she work?
I can't remember the name, but it's a place in Henderson, Kentucky that's shut down now because something with the company. But essentially she was just a traveling nurse. She would go to elderly patients' houses and take care of them. Yeah.
Do you find yourself, if not to go into nursing, maybe, but do you find yourself, because of her, that sort of person, if somebody needs help, you're there to help, or are you two opposites as far as personalities are concerned?
I tend to try and help people. Some would say that I put others before myself.
Okay. So how do you think you're doing a year later?
Well, like now I can actually talk about her.
Yeah. You couldn't for a
No.
long time.
There was a point in time where if someone had mentioned her name, I would just start crying.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What comes to your mind when you think about your mother?
It sounds strange, but she was in love with butterflies.
Butterflies.
And every time I see a butterfly,
Yeah.
I associate them with her.
Yeah. That's not unusual at all. It may not be butterflies. I have a brother-in-law who passed away, and a crane flew through a hospital whenever he was in his hospital bed. And every time we see a crane, we say there's his name. His name was David. But for you, it's butterflies.
Yeah.
What else? Do you think of her because of such a young age? Do you more think of her, and because she struggled for such a long time, when you think of her, do you think of her ill in a hospital bed, or do you think of her more of living life and what she was like when she was healthy?
Fond memories, I think of her as more of a lively and like energetic woman. But for like 1/3 of my life, she was
Right.
sick.
Right. Yeah, it's hard, is it not, to picture. Were you there when she passed, the moment she passed?
Yes, I was right beside
Yeah.
her.
It's hard, is it not, to picture that moment, to think of that moment, rather than the lively times. I'm sure as time goes by, it'll be much different for you. But what type of hobbies was she into? What did she enjoy doing?
She really loved cooking.
What was her favorite dish?
I can't, like, she just loved cooking an array of different things. She didn't really have a favorite.
Did she like to travel?
Not really.
Didn't do a lot of traveling? Didn't have time?
No. She loved it for her job, but that was just about it.
Were you able to go on family vacations?
Usually the vacations that we had, we would come up here and I would spend time with my aunt. So
Up here from where?
Kentucky.
From, you said Seabury, Kentucky?
Yes.
Okay. You lived there until what age?
I would say about 9.
Okay. But your vacations ended up being in Lagodi, Indiana,
Yeah.
visiting. Okay, very good.
In and around the area.
What were you, when you look back, you're still a child, you're 16 years old, but when you look back at your really formative ages, whenever you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, do you feel like it was a good childhood? Do you have fond memories, or was it unsteady? Tell me a little bit about you and your mother and your relationship and how life was for you.
I really only have like great memories with my mom. My dad was in the picture, but he worked on, like, we lived on a chicken farm.
Okay.
And he was gone almost every hour of the day. And then he would like come back by the time I'd be in bed. So I never really got to see him.
This
that
was your
much.
father, you said?
Yeah.
So what, can I ask, where's your father today?
He is in Houston, Texas
Okay.
right now.
Okay, very good. So when your mother was at her liveliest, I know that she liked to sing a little bit. She loved butterflies. But I mean, what other hobbies? Cooking. If she enjoyed life, she had to have an abundance of things that she enjoyed. What were some of those?
She really loved not necessarily painting, but using like paint pens on like ceramic things that you put out in gardens.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of them like still in my room. And
So was she pretty talented then in that way?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Are
think.
you artistic in that way?
Not with painting, no. I never got the painting skill.
But you're musical, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very.
Very?
Yeah.
So you'd like to do that going forward?
I love music.
So your mother was in the choir in school, you in music, certainly something in common there. Yeah.
Actually, I'm in the choir right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. As far as your mother is concerned, whenever you, again, I keep going back to when you think of her at her liveliest, right? How would you describe her personality?
Outgoing. And
Outgoing?
almost like a golden retriever.
In what way?
Just loving, outgoing. Like if you were a stranger, she would treat you like you were her best friend.
Okay, so like a puppy.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, well that's a good characteristic
Yeah.
to have. During the visitation, during the funeral, during those times, as I said, I'm sure many people came up to you and talked to you about your mother. Did you find out anything that you didn't know prior to that? Or even since then, people have told you?
I've heard some really funny stories about her and my grandmother.
Care to share any?
I'm blanking right now.
That's okay.
I can't think of any.
When you say your grandmother, her mother,
Yes.
did she have a good relationship with her mother?
That's kind of complicated.
Is her mother still with us?
No.
No.
She passed away in 2011.
Okay. And what about siblings that your mother would have had?
Yeah, she had 3.
Can you tell me about, are they all still with us?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
My, so going from oldest to youngest, I have an uncle. His name is Brad Taylor.
Okay.
Then there's my aunt, Cindy Taylor. No, O'Brien. She's O'Brien now.
Cindy O'Brien.
And then there was my aunt, Donna. And she passed like 2.5 weeks before my mom did.
2.5 weeks before your mom did.
So I barely had time to process my aunt before my mom did.
Did she also pass from cancer?
Yes.
Was your mother aware of what was going on at the time, or was she in a state where she was going through medication? Did she know when her sister had passed?
Yes. She actually, like me, along with me, she would help take care of my aunt until she passed. Because my aunt came home from like the hospital. I'm thinking it was on Valentine's Day because I remember getting a text message from my mom saying my aunt was coming home. And she had came home on hospice. And 3 days later, February 17th, she passed away.
And that was all 2023, so just a little more than a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously that was a grieving period for you, and you knew probably at that time what was ahead for your mother. You just did not know when, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
I mean, with my aunt, I think part of me had expected it because she was on hospice and it was 3 days. But my mom was just kind of sudden.
Yeah.
With her, because she was sick for about 5 years, I never really knew. Like, there would be some days or weeks that she would get really sick, and then she would just usually bounce back. And on my birthday, I noticed that she was sick, but I thought that it was just one of those things where she would bounce back from it. And then I'm pretty sure on March 13th, the next day, I was in my 3rd period class, and I was like getting called out. I didn't know why, but like for some reason in the back of my mind, I felt like I knew that something bad was happening. I remember saying something along the lines of, "Oh my God, she's dying."
So they called you out of school. Was somebody on the phone, or was somebody there in person to talk to you about it?
I hadn't been told anything yet.
Okay.
It was just like an intuition thing. Like for some reason, I knew that she was passing away, but no one had told me anything.
You had said earlier, Sadie, that one of your messages would be, don't give up, because time passes, things change. Did you think about giving up at any given time? And when I say giving up, I don't know what that means. I'm not going to the extreme. I'm just, what was it a situation where you didn't want to get out of bed, situation where you didn't want to talk to anybody? Did you feel like you were giving up at any certain time?
You mean after her
After
passing?
your mom passed, yeah.
There was a brief period in time, yes.
Had you ever had anybody close to you pass before, aside from your aunt right before that, that you were aware of?
No. I
No.
think my aunt was the first one that I was really close to.
Yeah.
Because I was too young to really remember my grandparents passing.
And then you had two people very close to you within a month,
Yeah.
basically passing. So again, if you talk to people who are going through this, especially younger people, right, like yourself, what advice can you give them? Don't give up. Of course, is a great advice, but how are you? How did you? How will you continue to cope with this?
Obviously, people cope in different ways, but for me, what really helped is just spend as much time as you can with them while they're still alive. Because now even I regret not spending time, I feel like I didn't spend enough time with her.
Okay.
And I spent essentially almost every day with her.
Yeah, I was gonna
If I
say.
wasn't at school, then
Yeah.
I was with her.
Yeah, I was going to say even as much time as you would spend with her, you would always regret that you didn't have more time to spend with her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you go from here as far as you're a couple years from being out of school? What do you hope to pursue as far as a career? Was there anything that your mom influenced you to take you forward?
Originally, I was looking forward to a career in music, but now I'm looking at becoming a cancer researcher.
And this was because your mother passed from cancer.
And my aunt, yes.
A cancer researcher. So what do you hope to do with that?
Try and find better ways of
Yeah.
taking care of cancer.
Yeah. These couple ladies that are here for support. Are you familiar with the Martin County Cancer Patient Services?
Somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, they're here also to help people like yourself, and people like yourself are here to help them help others cope as well. So hopefully, the grieving process, of course, will never end totally. But hopefully you'll take that, what you've learned, and be able to help others. And I know that's part of what you wanted to do today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a year later, and you're talking. You've got tissues over here that you haven't used yet. But I also know deep down when you really think about your mother, you know, it's still very, very difficult. But what advice would your mother give you? If you're looking up, I'm sure you talk to her on occasion, right? What do you think she would want of Mercedes Cortes going forward without her on this earth?
Stop crying about me.
Okay. Harder, easier said than done, right? But what type of person do you think she would want you to be, since she's not able to tell you personally? I'm sure you have in mind where she had led you to this point, and where she'd like for you to go.
I think she always, growing up, she always taught me to be, to lead with my heart and to, not let people, I don't want to say take advantage of it, but just, I guess that would sum it up really, is just lead with your heart.
And how do you feel like you're doing, leading with your heart?
Well, for a while after they had passed, I was really scared of opening up and loving anyone again.
Okay.
It took me a while to even say I love you to people that I'm related to now.
But you feel more comfortable doing that now?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were to look into the camera as if your mother's looking right at you, what message would you give to your mother right now?
I miss you, but I know you're happy, especially with Aunt Donna and Grandma.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about that you'd like to talk about? It's your forum, and if you're done, if you're comfortable with what you've talked about, fantastic. But if there's other things that come to mind that you want the people to know, have at it.
think of anything.
So are you comfortable that what you came here to do, that you were able to do?
Yeah.
This will be, of course, on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube forever, as long as YouTube will be there. And hopefully your family will be able to watch this, and hopefully they will always have the memories of your mother. But also you will have this, and when you have children, you'll be able to let them know what you thought of your mother, and not just in words here, but it'll be out there. So I thank you for asking to do this. I hope whatever it is you wanted to accomplish, that you feel better about that you did it. Okay? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck, whatever you do in life. And I'm sure one thing your mother would tell you is to go on in life and just be a great person, right? You'll do that, won't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try my best.
So again, it's Ilene.
Yes.
Ilene Taylor Cortes passed away in March of 2023. And her daughter, Sadie, a sophomore at Lagodi, just 16 years old, a year after her passing, just wanted to make sure that people knew what a great person she was. And I didn't know her, but I believe you that she was a great person. So thank you so much. And if there's a message I know that Sadie has given you that's able to help, whether it's now or later, then I know Sadie will appreciate that as well. So thank you so much for watching.
I could have